Okay, calm down. You got rivers, man. You got rivers, man. Okay, calm down.
Was I muted there? Okay, that's the first time I think that's ever happened. Interesting. Well, the Mossad is probably playing around with my laptop. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Katie Halper Show. So excited to be here with you today. We have a great show for you. We have 3 different segments, and we have 3 people who are making their debut on the Katie Halper Show. So historic moment for everyone involved. Really excited for this. And please do, as always, give this a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up to the stream. Hit the like. Also subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We're very close to 400,000, which is really exciting. And we are so grateful to you for already subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do. As always, we urge people to join the Patreon. That's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. And if you do that for $5 a month, you will get extra content and bonus episodes and early releases, and we have great stuff for you. Also, please do follow me on TikTok. And Brad, you got to remind me, what is, the kids use TikTok these days. Is it KT Helps _?
It is, I believe, and I'm sorry, it was Twitch.
No, I'm doing both, but first I'm urging people to do. I don't want to urge people to do Twitch. You and I have a fight about this, so I like the way you snuck this in.
The fight continues.
Ignored what I was wanting, yeah. But we can do Twitch. I mean, if you're watching this not on YouTube and you want to do Twitch, that's fine.
But we're just really, really close to hitting the threshold where we can post
on TikTok.
Yeah. Yes,
TikTok.
And I believe that is KTHALPS _.
Yeah, exactly.
So KT helps _.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
We got to blow up on TikTok. That's where the youths are. The 2 youths, to quote my cousin Vinny. So who are the guests that we'll be talking to? Well, our final guest, going in backwards order, is someone who will be talking to us about Pakistan, which is, by the way, a subject that we really have not focused on sufficiently / at all on this show. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. We focus on lots of important issues, and we are fixing that problem tonight with Dr. Moeed Pirzada, who is a British Pakistani geostrategic analyst. He's going to be talking to us about the latest Epstein emails, which include some fascinating comments by Epstein about Imran Khan, the former prime minister of Pakistan, also very good cricket player. And he's, as people probably know, was overthrown and is currently in jail. So that will be our final segment. Our second segment is going to be with Roua Daas, who is an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement and lead on the Maersk off Maersk campaign and the People's Embargo for Palestine. And our first guest we're so excited to be talking to is Andre Easton, who is running to represent New York's 15th Congressional District, which is in the Bronx. And he has been represented, unfortunately, the 15th District has been represented by the extremely pro-Israel Democrat Ritchie Torres since 2021. Andre was born to Jamaican immigrants in the Bronx and has spent 12 years teaching English in South Bronx public schools. He is an active father who is raising 3 boys with his wife, Angelica, who is also a public school educator in the Bronx. He's a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation and has been part of the movement against police brutality, organized for housing justice, and helped lead political education courses. So welcome to the show, Andre. Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining.
Happy to be here.
So I don't want to define you by your adversary, but I think it is important to set the stage of where you are running for office. People probably have heard of Ritchie Torres. This is the person you'll be challenging. He's a big fan of Israel. He represents one of the poorest districts in the country and seems to care a lot more about Israel than he does about his constituents. And I wanted to kick this off by showing a video, a snippet of a video of an interview that Adam Friedland did with Ritchie Torres, and then you did a kind of mashup reaction. So let's show that, and then we're going to get into it.
Bronx. People are not talking about Israel. People are talking about how to put food on the table and pay the bills.
Yeah.
Maybe in your world, that's what people are talking about. But in my world, people are struggling.
I don't think Ritchie Torres knows as much as he thinks he knows about the people of the Bronx. I mean, we are a diverse borough, among the most ethnically and racially diverse boroughs in New York City. And there are people from all over the world that experience oppression. We know what justice feels like. And for him to say that for us to only care about ourselves and our immediate needs being met, it is an expression of a racist, reductionist idea that states that black and brown people, that poor people are just mules that are just living to die and to pay bills. Our lives are worth much more than that. We deserve dignity. We deserve to be able to stand in solidarity with the international workers class because we are a product of the international working class. So for him to push this narrative, that is a self-serving billionaire narrative that it seeks to maintain the status quo and keep the suffering ever increasing for the glorious, wonderful, beautiful, creative, innovative, stylish people of the Bronx that I'm proud to be a part of.
All right. So the irony there is that you had Ritchie Torres claiming that he cares about, that he and his constituents care about poverty. They care about the issues, not about Israel. And the reason he was saying that, obviously, is because this was in the midst of the Zohran Mamdani campaign, because Ritchie Torres is someone who is increasingly unpopular and out of step as a Democrat on the issue of Israel. But here's another interesting thing that makes his comments especially rich. I have cited this before, but as Adam Johnson, media analyst Adam Johnson, has pointed out, Ritchie Torres represents the poorest district in the U.S., but he mentions Israel 236% more than he mentions poverty. And what Adam did to determine that is he looked at public statements since coming into office in January 2021. Now this was written in 2023, so maybe the percentage has increased, but it doesn't, at least for his first 2 years in office, which is way too long to justify. It's indefensible. So in public statements since coming to office in January 2021, Torres has mentioned Israel 337 times and poverty 143 times. On his official website, there are 202 mentions of Israel and 77 mentions of poverty. On Twitter, there are 73 tweets about Israel and 12 about poverty. On Facebook, there are 62 mentions of Israel and 54 mentions of poverty. And according to Food Research and Action Center's figures, using data from 2017, New York's 15th district is by far the poorest of the 435 congressional districts in the United States. 36.2% of Torres' constituency lives below the poverty line. For reference, the second and third poorest districts in the country, Michigan 15 and Kentucky 5, have a poverty rate of roughly 29% or 7 percentage points lower than New York 15. So what is your response to this video of Ritchie Torres pretending that his constituents don't care about Israel, they care about real issues?
Yeah, well, thank you first and foremost for playing that video. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think it really gives an opportunity for the people of the Bronx to exist as a vibrant and varied, people, which we are. I think the troubling aspect of the way that Ritchie Torres is framing the concerns of the people of the Bronx is that this is a projection, right? Like he's projecting onto our consciousness his own beliefs. Like he would much prefer, his job would be a lot easier if we did only in fact care about meeting our own needs and our own survival. But that would require that we exist as second-class citizens, that we exist as some form of subhuman life form, which we reject wholeheartedly. I think this, the one piece that I forgot to mention was intelligent. Right? Like if you know anything about, again, the people of the Bronx, you understand how people have been able to navigate those same contradictions and those conditions that you mentioned earlier. I think when we use the poverty line as a measurement, we are really failing to capture just the essence of how bad the working class is being exploited in this country, right? So the poverty line measurement does not really fully illustrate just what people's day-to-day needs are, right? Like, I mean, if I told you what I had to spend at the grocery store just the other day to try to feed my family of five, right? It would probably turn your stomach, right? And those types of statistics are not brought into the full conversation when we're talking about, what the poverty line looks like, because those of us that are not even technically qualifying for the poverty line are still struggling. And these should be the top priorities and the top concerns of a congressional representative for this district or any district in this country. I think it's shameful. And he would much prefer it if we just focused on ourselves and did not have any real international analysis, which the people of the Bronx obviously do have, because again, as I mentioned in the video, that's where we come from. Like when we're talking about, if I open up my WhatsApp right now, I'd have to, scroll through images from my uncle, sending me the good morning images with all the gifts. Like we have an international connection. Like we
Your
are
uncle being where, in Jamaica?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So we are connected directly to the international working class. So we don't
Right.
often have to go and look for those connections. They are in us every day. So yeah.
What? Excuse me. I think there are two things going on, right? One is like as you're pointing out, people don't exist in silos, and people care about seeing Palestinians being massacred, and you can be struggling financially and working hard to make ends meet, and also not want kids to be killed, and not want your tax dollars to go to killing those kids, right? So there's that. But then there's also the hypocrisy in that Ritchie Torres is claiming that he is in step with his constituents because he cares about these bread and butter issues. And again, I'm just going to read what he said in that video. He says, in the South Bronx, people are not talking about Israel. People are talking about how to put food on their table and pay their bills. And in my world, people are struggling. So again, it's like he fails on both ends, on both levels, because on one level, he fails because he's pretending that people in his district don't care about a genocide that's happening. But he also fails because he's the one who doesn't care about poverty. He cares about Israel. He doesn't care about Palestinians, of course. He cares about sucking up to Israel. So, he gets called rightly an Israel shill a lot. He does a lot of pinkwashing, which is when you obscure crimes by mentioning alleged progressive thinking on LGBTQ rights. Again, I don't really understand how bombing people, which includes LGBTQ people, helps said LGBTQ community, but that's that's mind-boggling. But tell us about his connection to Israel.
Yeah, right. So, the last records that I checked, anywhere between 1.5 and 1.6 million dollars he has received so far from AIPAC and the Israel lobby, which is an absurd figure, especially when we're considering that the average, worker is subsisting 36% below the poverty line. Like that is, and the numbers are unconscionable. It's hard to fathom. That's nearly 40% of the people that live in the district are below the poverty line. And the poverty line is abysmal in the richest country on earth, right? And the Bronx, you could look across the water and see Manhattan. You see these tall skyscrapers, and you know exactly where the wealth is, and it's not in your neighborhood, it's not in your community. And the people that are responsible for improving your conditions are more than happy to be wooed by the Israel lobby and the real estate lobby, right? Because those are the two largest donors to Ritchie Torres. And a lot of the representatives, if we're honest, right, are receiving money from the Israel lobby and from the real estate lobby. So for us to expect them to turn away from millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and like it's par for the course. I mean, what are we talking about? What is it? 65% of Congress 65% of Congress are receiving money from Israel. That is a problem that is rotten at the core. This is not we should rightly criticize Ritchie Torres and anybody that is receiving money from AIPAC. That is a correct assessment. But I think what I want for people to avoid is identifying the problem as being solely attributed to individuals, because in doing so, we run the risk of swapping Ritchie Torres out for somebody that does the same thing through a different means, right? Like maybe they might get money directly from APAC, but through some other side pack would still receive. The problem is lobbying. The problem is capitalism. The problem is that you can legally buy politicians and you can legally pay for bills and pass legislation that serves their interests. The problem is capitalism. And I want more people to actually be upfront about challenging that, because it can feel good to swap out your least favorite politician with your favorite politician. But if the structure that created Ritchie Torres is never addressed, then you're going to have to deal with the same problem a few years down the line when the talents start to sink into the person that you want to support your needs.
Right. It's like the rotating villain, which we see happen a lot. It's a lot easier. And you know, I understand, like it's useful to use people as representatives, and it's useful to use personal stories as representatives. But at the same time, of course, we have to look at the systemic nature of this, because it's not like if you get rid of one, you're not going to have to deal with that. And we saw, you know, Democrats do that themselves. They pretend, oh, it's just Chuck Schumer. Oh, it's just Kristen Sinema. Oh, it's just Joe Manchin. And of course, there's systems that create that in the first place. So you just mentioned capitalism. I want to know about your platform. But before we get to your platform,
For sure.
your political trajectory, were you raised by people who were supportive of socialism? What was your political consciousness awakening like?
Yeah, love that question. Like I said, I was born and raised in the Bronx, Northeast Bronx.
My mom is from Moshlu Parkway, by the way.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
dope. Yeah,
And I know
yeah.
you taught in, or you've taught in Jamaica, Queens, right?
I used to work in Jamaica, Queens, yeah, in the after
Okay.
school program.
Oh, so my dad went to Jamaica High.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. I used to work over in Springfield Gardens.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. That's so dope. But yeah, no, so much of my I went to Catholic school. I'm a Catholic school boy,
Oh,
right? So
wow.
I
Okay.
went to Catholic school from uh pre-K until all the way through high school. I went to Mount St. Michael Academy, all boys school. And I was always in the church, right? So I was in the church during school. I was in a Roman Catholic church in elementary, middle, and high school. And on the weekends, I would switch off between going to my grandmother's Baptist church and my grandfather's Methodist church up
Oh,
here in the
wow.
Bronx. So I was getting scriptures and teaching from all different angles. And I started to ask questions. I said, well, if these are the teachings, then why are we still living in a place where there's poverty? Like, why are there so many homeless people? Why are people dying from drug addiction, right? So this my wheels were turning as a youngster, trying to understand the world around me, when I knew that there were answers to the problems that we faced. So fast forward to college, I started studying psychology because I wanted to understand the inner workings of the mind and how people arrived at the behaviors that they were engaging in. Right. Again, Northeast Bronx. There's drug addiction, alcoholism, all the things that we know are the products and the consequences of disinvestment, right? When communities are broken down, when after school programs are stripped of their funding, when rent is too high for people to be able to afford, all of these things are identifiable factors that are related to capitalism, right? The increase in costs it increases violence, right? It increases depression, isolation, all of those things. So I wanted to understand that better. So I studied that undergrad, and then I started working in after school programs, and I loved it, right? Working with children is the joy of, I would do it for free, and often I do it for free. Because I think it's one of the most important things that any of us can do, right? The world that we're building will be inherited by children. So why not spend time developing them to help them be the architects and the crafters of the world that they deserve to live in? So again, I've been teaching for 12 years, but I did not start out as a socialist. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X in high school, like many people did, and I understood Black nationalism, and that was a very, very important thing for me. And I thought that just being able to quote Malcolm was enough. I thought that teaching my students about COINTELPRO and the Black Panther Party was enough, and reading James Baldwin was enough. But over time, and as becoming a father, I recognized that there needed to be more. And that's when I started to look out and see what other options were available. I got connected with other members that were in the party, other teachers that were in the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I said, I need to join this because the things that I'm doing in my classroom, I think they're great. I think they're really transformative. But the problems that my students face exist outside of the classroom, right? So the housing, the lead paint, all of these things are real life factors that my students are confronting every single day. And if I am only dealing with them in one aspect of their lives and not addressing the problems that produce the learning difficulties that they're having, then I can't propose or profess to be concerned with their lives if I'm allowing them to suffer outside of my classroom and only giving them the sanctuary for a few minutes, few hours a week in my classroom. So I knew that I needed to get involved, and I knew it wasn't enough for me just to have the right political analysis as an individual. I knew I needed to join a formation of other workers that are dedicated to bringing about an entire new system, which is socialism. So yeah, my journey, I did not start as a radical. I was not born this way. I had to go through various iterations before I arrived at the position that I'm at today. And I couldn't be here without the party and other, dignified workers.
Yeah, and I just added your website, by the way, to your description.
Appreciate that.
Well, apologies, still a little sec. So I heard you talking to the great Brianna Joy Gray, friend of show, and you were talking about the significance of parties. And you mentioned some figures from throughout history who have been able to organize with a party, not kind of on their own. So tell us some of those examples, and also tell us about Party for Socialism and Liberation and what it is. And people know I had Claudia de la Cruz on a couple of times when she was running for president. Tell us what this party is and why you decided to join them.
Yeah, thank you so much. So first and foremost, the Party for Socialism and Liberation is an independent working class party, and our movement is explicitly focused on bringing about a socialist reconstruction in America. America is, at this stage of its development, has all of the capacity to be able to provide the needs for all of the workers, a dignified, high quality standard of living for all of the workers. But the means of production, or the tools that create all of the experiences that we have in our lives, like the housing, education, all of the infrastructure, is in the control of the billionaire class. And our job is to build a mass movement to create socialism in real time in our lifetimes in this country. And doing so would be probably the greatest positive contribution that we could make to human development, in that socialist America would be would liberate the global South and give the global South the ability to set their own destiny, right? So what's happening in Venezuela right now, where the United States is actively using the weight of its $1 trillion annual military budget to suppress the self-determination of the people of Venezuela and the Caribbean more broadly. If the United States was a socialist nation, the military budget is slashed 90% off the bat. And that money is then reinvested into housing, into education, into jobs, into healthcare, and allows us to be able to live as partners with the international working class, and not as oppressors of the international working class as we exist currently, right? Because our taxes are being used to destroy people's livelihoods and their ability to exist as free, sovereign people. And I mentioned earlier, you asked earlier, I think the way that we talk about history, it obscures the essential role that party and organized formations play. I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, was the anniversary of Rosa Parks taking that first, that first stand, where she engaged in this act of protest by refusing the direct order of the white bus driver to sit in the colored section. Now, the way that story is told, it's popularly projected or presented as though Rosa Parks was a tired woman that came home from work and she just didn't want to sit down. But that story is actually a false presentation, because Rosa Parks,
that she just like thought of it, right, in real time.
Precisely. Yeah. She was somebody who was a part of an organized movement, and this was an intentional display, right? This protest was planned out. It was organized. And so the very
and
conception
she worked at the Highlander school, the Highlander training school. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So the very concept of what the civil rights movement, as we understand it, was started through organized movements and organized efforts of training and discipline, and there's a goal. People were not freelancing it, and I think that that type of presentation makes it harder for us to see ourselves as individuals, as being capable of making the type of transformative actions and changes that people like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. and Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture, Marvell Cook, Ella Baker, like these people that are juggernauts and are giants in our, historical memory, where each of them were part of disciplined, organized formations that were goal oriented and disciplined to be able to make those types of interventions that we all celebrate now. So, I know that if I wanted to make change, I couldn't do it by myself. I can't do anything by myself. I'm the product of my ancestors and the international working class, and I'm proud of that.
Great. And you should be proud of that. Now, why are you running not as a PSL candidate? You're running as an independent, correct?
So I am an independent candidate, yeah, but I'm a
Right.
member for the PSL. So I'm a PSL candidate, but I'm an independent, as in not Democrat or Republican. I'm
Right.
running independent, yeah.
Okay, so it's the same thing as running as is that what Claudia did? I thought you were
Correct.
okay, got it. Okay. So you're not part of
Correct.
the duopoly, obviously.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
I knew
Not at
that.
all.
I just didn't know. I thought you were running as independent as opposed to PSL. So you are running with I knew you were part of PSL, but you are also PSL
Yeah.
candidate.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So I wanted to ask you about your platform. So tell us about your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, the Bronx makes makes New York City run. And we believe that that power should be in the hands of the working class. Like we should be able to set the agenda and determine how all of our labor and wealth is used and harnessed. So our platform is very it's accessible. We want to make sure that people can articulate these points in conversations with their friends and family, right? So first and foremost, right up the top is lower the rent, raise the wages, right? The rent is the probably number one issue for the people in District 15. They're trying to figure out how they're going to keep a roof over their heads is a primary concern, right? And increasing the wages, right? People are working longer hours and not able to be able to keep up with the cost of living to feed themselves, and it creates an alienation of the family. Because the time that parents would be spending with their children, passing on that generational knowledge, a lot of that time is fractured because parents are picking up extra shifts and not able to meet their needs. And again, this is a problem of capitalism, right? It's not simply one policy. The capitalist system requires a class to be exploited, right? So guaranteeing our safety, finding real solutions to gun violence, which we believe directly investing in communities and in education, right? Levying a tax on big pharma to end this drug addiction crisis. Like all of these things are profitable and they have names and sources that can be addressed with real policy. A future for the youth, right? So free childcare, right? High quality childcare by professionals is a main concern, right? So many people don't want to become parents because of the exorbitant rates of childcare, and making that free would allow for a generation of people to have that creativity, that creative energy to be invested into making society the place that we all want to be a part of and feel proud of. Healthcare crisis is a huge concern as well. So ending the health crisis, right? The Bronx has some of the highest rates of asthma in the world, right? These are not accidents. These are all consequences of policy decisions that divide up highways, divide up communities, and all of these things are preventable and can be addressed. And of course, end all U.S. aid to Israel. I have to pause when I say that because we need to be very clear that the genocide that's happening in Palestine, the slaughter and the starvation and the degradation of the people and the land of Palestine is only possible with the support of the US through our tax dollars. So if the US support is withdrawn from Israel, they would not be able to engage in the level of violence and destruction that they have been since before October 7th, 2023. right? So that's something that has to be made very clear. Slashing the military budget by 90%, and fully funding art and culture. I think so. Going back to the original point about Ritchie Torres, it is a slave idea that states that African people in particular, and people throughout the diaspora, were brought to this country to exist as laborers. We were never meant to be thinkers. We were never meant to have any type of creative pursuits, the entirety of it, which is why for over a century, it was illegal to even learn or teach an African enslaved person to read, is because what happens in our mind was never never important or valuable to the broader system of capitalism. They would much prefer that we just exist as subhuman second-class citizens, and we reject that. And we know that a part of transforming the Bronx includes revitalizing the arts and culture programs so that people can have creative outlets to be able to develop themselves and their ideas beyond just laboring and dying. Like, that's not what our lives are meant to be, and we cannot accept that. Justice and reparations for black families. I mentioned on several occasions that the Bronx is the blackest of the boroughs, right? We have the highest percentage of black residents, and District 15 is no different, right? So how can we ignore that in our platforms and in our positions fighting for justice? So that's a huge part of how we want to show up and how we would reorganize the Bronx, were we to have the power, which we deserve.
Right. Well, it is really important, I think, to make people realize that, the same government that's funding a genocide in Gaza, or funding, killing Venezuelan fishermen, is also not providing for the needs of the people. And I think that that's a really important thing. And you really do a great job of that. I also want to talk about Ritchie Torres's, and again, because it's not about Ritchie Torres, it's a more systemic issue. And again, I heard you talk about this with Brianna Joy Gray about the weaponization of identity politics and how you saw that with Obama as well. So talk about this, because, Ritchie Torres talks about how he is an Afro-Latino gay man, and which are great things to be, but he definitely uses that as a shield. And in the case of Israel, very clearly uses that as a shield to cover for their crimes against humanity. And it can makes people think that this person is progressive because they are part of these various marginalized groups. So talk about that, please.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. All of our identities are subject to the broader forces, the colonial forces of capitalism. This force colors how we understand race, gender, sexuality, age. All of these ideas that we have are imposed upon us by this broader system of capitalism, of colonialism, that says a man is this only, a woman is this only. So all of the identities need to be reevaluated, need to be reexamined as how we conceptualize that. Because until we have a proper understanding of who we are and who we could be, we're going to be subject to their misrepresentations over and over. And they're going to weaponize those things against our consciousness if we don't first steel our consciousness with a deep understanding of ourselves, our history. There's so much more. Humans are so much more dynamic than what can be existed and understood under capitalism, because they use our identities as ways to market to us, right? So you're gay, all right, we got a gay politician, so vote for him. Don't worry about who he's supporting. Don't worry about those Israel dollars. Don't worry about if he's getting money from the same landlord lobby that is causing your rent to go. Don't worry about none of that. He's gay just like you, right? He's Latino just like, he likes the same food, he does the same dances that you do, right? Don't think about who he is or what he thinks. Just focus on the surface, which again is an insulting framework that the ruling class imposes on all of us. So I'm advocating that we have a better understanding of our history and ourselves, and really come to figure out, is it that we want better representation in systems of oppression, or do we want the systems of oppression to no longer exist? Because those are the questions that we have to ask. And those are two different paths, two different outcomes that you will have to take if you answer each of those questions, right? Because the second part is going to build an anti-imperialist movement that can actually liberate the peoples of the world to use their productive power to create a more just, a more safe, a more inclusive society for all of us. And the first one is just going to be rainbow flags on the bombs. Like that's
Exactly.
where we are right now, and we don't want that.
Right. So did you have an aha moment when it comes to this issue? Like when you were like, oh, wow, Obama is not the hope and change person I thought he was.
So, quick story. I was a journalist undergrad when I went to Delaware State University, a historically Black college in Dover, Delaware. Michelle Obama actually came to speak to us at our school. Joe Biden is from Delaware.
Right, of course.
Okay. So think about the level of propaganda that I experienced as a 19, 20-year-old on a Black college in the state where the vice president was, campaigning for heavy. And then Michelle Obama, who was probably the closest thing to I've ever seen to like royalty, like sat in a room and was talking. I was smitten, right? I was on the White House lawn during the inauguration for Barack Obama in 2008. It was like 21 degrees. It was freezing cold. And I
Yeah,
was a
I
student
was too.
journalist. I cried. Everybody cried. It was Asian people, white people, Black people. Everybody was having this moment. And I think the American system really weaponizes our emotions against us,
Yeah.
and we really that's messed up psychologically, right? And so I had that moment where I voted for Obama the first time, and I voted for him the second time, and then it wasn't until I became an adult when I'm in the classroom and I'm talking to my students and I found out that Barack Obama doubled the bounty on Assata Shakur. And I'm like, why would you, the first Black president, decades after this incident happened, allegedly, why would you double the bounty on this Black woman who's minding her business out in Cuba, not troubling anybody? Why would you be the one to double that bounty? Shout out to Cornel West, who raised that point to me and it brought me into consciousness, started asking, and then looking at the amount. I think was it 7 bombs an hour for 8 years? Like with nobody with a functioning brain and a heart can look at that and say, I'm defending that. There's no excuse on earth that you can use to justify that level of violence and that level of, just you couldn't. It doesn't make sense. So I had to go through that process. My parents had images of Barack Obama on the wall. Like I don't know a single Black household that doesn't have those images. But the longer, and I've said this before, the Black American community's capacity for change is directly proportional to their relationship to the Obamas. So when Obama comes out and the Black community boos him, now we ready. But as long as Barack Obama can come around and still gain favor and still endorse congressional candidates and that be seen as a good thing, as long as that's the case, then there's still work that needs to be done about our consciousness and how we imagine ourselves in not only the world, but what future do we want? Do we want to be riding shotgun in the imperial warship, or do we want the warship to not exist at all? Because those bombs are dropping in Libya, those bombs are dropping in Burkina Faso, they're dropping in Venezuela, they're dropping in Haiti, in Cuba, and we have to understand that those bombs are dropping on us, right? As Martin Luther King reminded us.
Right. And for people who don't know, Sada Shakur, who was Tupac Shakur's godmother, she was a member of the Black Panthers, and then she was allegedly involved in, like so many Black revolutionaries, probably framed. Definitely wasn't going to get a fair trial, and then she went to seek refuge in Cuba. And you're referring to the increased bounty, I guess, that Obama put on her head doubled it. Yeah, that's just insane. Yeah. And final question I had for you is what your thoughts on Zohran Mamdani are.
I think Zohran
Mamdani. And by the way, everyone, you should, if you haven't already liked this, please give this a like. Oh yes, and Assata Shakur died in September at the age of 17.
September 25th. Yeah. Again, rest in peace to her and Imam Jamil Amin, right?
Yeah, so we talked about last week with Butch Ware. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode. Really good. This is a sharp brother, man. I'm trying to listen. Hats off to him. So I think Zohran Mamdani presents a wonderful invitation for everybody that holds socialist values. It's an invitation to be able to unabashedly organize your communities, to actually be connected and have the strength to build the system of socialism. It's not going to come through the ballot box. You're never going to be able to vote your way to socialism. That has to be something that's built brick by you and the neighbors that you may not talk to as much, the people that live in the apartment next door to you. You have to find ways to build with your community, with other working class people. It is the only way that any type of change has ever occurred in this society, when the working class is organized and principled to be able to exert their will on society. There's no other way. And I think that there's two main outcomes from this, right? So Zohran, we want him to succeed with his agenda, to be able to deliver on the fast and free buses, the groceries, and freezing the rent. We want that. We want the free childcare. We want that as workers, obviously. But I think if we get those things and Cuba is still under a blockade, then we will not have succeeded. If we get all of the things that Zohran promised and Venezuela is under the control of Donald Trump and the right-wing people like Pete Hegseth, then we will not have secured a victory. So if United States remains within its position in relationship to the global South, then there's nobody can claim any victories until we are in right relationship with the international working class. And that can only happen with a socialist reconstruction of this country and a redirection of the resources, the abundant resources that exist in this country. $18 million a day is what it costs for us to be stationed in this military incursion in Venezuela. $18 million a day. What could that do in the Bronx? What could that do in Kentucky and in Michigan and in the poorest congressional districts in this country? What could $18 million do for the school system? And why do people need SNAP, right? Let's eliminate the need for SNAP. Let's delete the need for charity in the first place by raising the wages, by paying people what they're owed, tax the billionaires till they don't exist anymore. These are all possible things. They're not radical. Any developed country has a functioning universal healthcare system. Any respectable country is able to provide maternity leave for their parents, right? Why are we lagging so far behind? And the answer is those $18 million a day that they're spending, the 275,000 gallons or barrels of oil that the military uses and pollutes this planet. So we cannot accept any solution that is short of a socialist reconstruction of this country. And we build that every day, conversation to conversation with your neighbors, reflect on yourself, and join an organization. It cannot happen as an individual freelance actor. They want you to believe that, but that's a lie.
Right. Well, we'll have to have you back on. You are not the only person running against Ritchie Torres, but I think that your program is probably, is very exciting. And we would love to have you back on. And so Jose Vega, who's been on the show, is also running. I believe Michael Blake, and there's someone else.
Delorine Namorin.
Yeah. So it's nice that there are multiple people challenging him, but of course we want to actually have one defeat him. Any final words before we say goodbye?
Yeah. So two things.
Final words for this interview. I sound so fatalistic. When
No, it's all good. I get what you're saying. Well, first and foremost, leave Palestine. We're having a volunteer meeting this Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Bronx at 814 River Avenue. We would love to continue to build out the apparatus that's going to create the socialism that we deserve. So again, that's 814 River Avenue. We're having an Andre for the Bronx volunteer meeting. And we actually have an initiative, Artists for Andre, where we're not just talking about wanting to invest in cultural development and cultural producers. We're giving opportunities for them to engage and meet together and brainstorm and put their talents to the benefit of the working class. So 5 to 7 p.m. at 814 River Avenue. And secondly, my campaign team would kill me if I did not come out and make an acknowledgement. Today is Giving Tuesday. So please donate to our campaign. We are grassroots funded. It is the working class that we are accountable. We are an independent campaign because we do not want to be answerable to any of these corporate interests that are backing our opponents. So the working class needs their own party that needs to be independent. But the only way that we can do that is if we have the support financially, unfortunately, from the people in our working class. And we know that we give to what we love and what we believe in. So please donate. $500 allows us to print out materials and put the posters up so that we can deliver on our agenda of bringing socialism to everybody's doorstep in District 15 and beyond. So your donations matter so much. You can go to andreforthebronx.nyc/donate. Please donate. Consider telling your friends, invite people. We want to meet you. So come out, from 5 to 7 p.m. this Saturday, December 6th, I think that is December 6th. From 5 to 7 at 814 River Avenue. So yeah, those are my my statements, and free Palestine always.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Andre. Best of luck, and we will talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, guys, so we are going to bring on the next guest, but before we do that, we are going to, I have to actually have a glass of water because I'm a little sick, and I'm going to treat everyone to a campaign video for Andre's campaign. Then we're going to bring on our next guest, and she's going to be talking to us about the Palestinian Youth Movement, the exciting stuff that they're doing. That's Roua Daas. So enjoy this video, and then we will be right back. And Brad, did you get you got it, right?
I'm sorry, Katie. I don't know.
I texted you, and didn't I text you and Andrew? Yes, I texted you guys a link.
Oh.
So
Got it. Okay.
Okay, and you can X me out, so I'm totally off and mute, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll bring on Roua. Okay, thank you.
Hey, everybody. Well, I'm going to pull up this video that I did not have ready. Age-restricted content. What in the world? Huh. It's, I don't know what is going on with Twitter. I will never call it X. That's not happening. But I just entered this link, and it says, for the campaign video, right? And it just shows age-restricted adult content. This content might not be appropriate for people under 18 years old.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
When I click on it, it just shows it to me. Hold on. This is very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I can probably play it on mine then. That's what I'll do.
Okay.
So give me 1 second.
I'm seeing...
and by the way...
in the comments, they're saying we're all mature here.
Yeah, I know. By the way, and also please, here's a little pet peeve of mine. When I write in the description who's going to be on, and I also write the order, and I say it at the beginning of the show, check there before asking like 17 times about someone coming on later. It is so annoying because you're late and not reading, and then you're asking us to help you. So it would be one thing if that information wasn't supplied elsewhere. And it's also rude to the people on the show. All right. So let me set this up. Okay. That is so weird. So like, why do they have you? For you, it's not safe. For me, it is. I think they must think you're more delicate than I am.
They must think that I am a man baby.
Yeah. They must know, you mean.
Wall Street.
Just kidding. Did that play? Could you hear the...
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So can you just make me go? I'm going to play it, and then you can make me go away.
Okie dokie.
Once I start playing it. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Gets all the credit, but it's the Bronx that keeps Wall Street gets all the credit, but it's the Bronx that keeps our economy alive. We're the ones moving the trains and buses that power New York City. We're the healthcare workers who carried this nation through the pandemic. We run the grocery stores, deliver the food, and keep the shops open. And everywhere I look, I see people hard at work, producing this country's wealth. So how is it possible that I'm standing in the nation's poorest congressional district? My name is Andre Easton, and I'm running for Congress to represent New York's 15th Congressional District to lower the rent and raise the wages. It's time to make sure that nobody pays more than 20% of their income on rent.
That's all it should take to keep a roof over our heads.
It's time to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour.
Because our jobs deserve real pay.
As a public school teacher and a father of 3, I know that the real solution to rising violence and addiction in our streets is to give our youth a future. And that means fully funded schools, an end to student homelessness, free childcare, and guaranteed jobs for all. Our bills are getting higher while the rich are getting richer. And that's capitalism. A system where billionaires bribe our politicians to fund genocide in Gaza instead of what we know our people need. Capitalism will only lead to endless war, a dying planet, and economic catastrophe. We need a whole new system, one that funds life and dignity. That's socialism. Their system robs us. Socialism means taking back our economic and political power. The Bronx proves it every day. Our labor makes society run. It's time for us to run society.
I think that we need more of that. And if anyone cares to look into it, I might be getting the year wrong, but when he says that the oligarchy bribing our politicians, that is due to 2 Supreme Court decisions. One of them, I think, might have been 1973. That was Buckley v. Vallejo, which said that money equals speech. And then the second one was Supreme Court Citizens United decision that says corporations are people. And
Right.
if you put those 2 together, basically, currently, you cannot stop endless, basically legal bribery of our representatives, because according to those 2 decisions, doing that would be infringing upon their free speech,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is absurd, but that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
Okay, bye.
Bye. That sounded sarcastic, but it was great. Okay, well, we are moving on with the show. If you haven't already liked, please do remember to give it a thumbs up. It's a free way to fight back against the oligarchs and the tech bros who try to control what we do and say and watch. So we're going to bring on our next guest. And then after we speak to our next guest, we'll be speaking to Moeed about Pakistan. Moeed Pirzada, Dr. Moeed Pirzada. So we're bringing on now Roua Daas, who is an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement and lead on the Mask Off Maersk campaign and People's Embargo for Palestine. So welcome.
Hello, hi. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, thanks for coming. So we have had PYM, Palestine Youth Movement, guests on before to talk about the Mask Off Maersk campaign. You're also working on the People's Arms Embargo. Can you tell us about these campaigns?
Yeah, so the Palestinian Youth Movement has campaigned for arms embargoes in defense of Gaza for a long time. And since 2023, our research unit has really developed a series of unique methodologies that have helped us track military cargo, weapons, fuel, and coal shipments that are critical in the supply chain for Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. This has resulted so far in us publishing 10 research reports with more to come. And we began this campaign against the shipping giant Maersk, who's headquartered in Denmark. And this is the Mask Off Maersk campaign, as I'm sure many people know. And this has resulted in successfully shutting down Maersk's Israel-bound line access in Spain and in France, where Maersk ships have been denied docking. And they are on notice in Italy and in Morocco, where workers have refused to load the vessels. And so we've also successfully ended Maersk's supply chain to and from illegal settlements in Palestine, with Maersk announcing this summer that they would cease carrying imports or exports from the West Bank, making them basically the first international shipping company that has enacted a de facto sanction on Israel. And in addition to this, we have supported campaigns across Europe and the Mediterranean, notifying dock workers and airport worker comrades of weapons shipments in France, Spain, Netherlands, Greece, and Italy. We have revealed the lies of the British and Canadian governments. And recently, we released a report detailing how 90%, that's 90% of the TNT imported by the US, where there is currently no domestic production, comes from Poland. And this TNT is what's being used in the bombs dropped on Gaza. And so really the People's Embargo for Palestine, which I want to talk about today, is a campaign that is building on all of this success. It is something, a project that has been launched by the Palestinian Youth Movement to build on the lessons and successes from the past 2 years and create a vehicle that is capable of advancing coordinated pressure for a two-way arms embargo against Israel. The goal of PEP is to popularize embargo research, to target, popularize targets and campaign strategies, and to centralize calls to action to ultimately make our movement more powerful. Our goal is to take the global isolation of Israel that it's been experiencing for the past 2 years, and that has been really solidified through this genocide, and transform it into a codified politic that is embodied by states and institutions, and that is to cut ties with genocide. And so we believe that PEP is a really effective way to achieve the goal of a comprehensive two-way arms and energy embargo against Israel.
And of course, PEP is not progressive except for on Palestine. It's the
Yes.
People's Embargo.
Yeah, we're claiming it.
Yeah, you're reclaiming. Yeah. So I want to ask you also about an exciting discovery that you guys did. That you guys like there should be like a heist movie made about you guys because you do really exciting stuff. But this is actually a video that we have. PYM discovered a warehouse in New Jersey shipping over 1,000 tons of weaponry to Israel per week, using Maersk to ship this equipment to Israel. Let us, I'm going to ask you about what you discovered, and let's also watch a video.
Single warehouse in Jersey City moved 91% of all seafaring Israel-bound military cargo that did not go through a military base. The equipment often travels from the warehouse to Port Newark Elizabeth Marine Terminal, where they are loaded onto a ship, dropped off in Tangier, Morocco, and picked up by another ship on the way to be taken to Israel. The warehouse is not just a logistics company, it is a lifeline of Israel's war machine, said Nadia Tanous of PYM. Israel will use it to restock for its next assault on Gaza, she continued. When Dropsite visited the warehouse earlier this month to speak with a company representative, an employee at the site asked us to leave the premises. A tactical vehicle parked just outside was identified as a David by the researchers. Davids are manufactured in Alabama and used by Israeli soldiers. A 2001 contracting document obtained by Dropsite shows that the warehouse was involved in delivering David vehicles to Israel. David Adler of Progressive International said the chain of complicity runs straight from Gaza's rubble to the heart of the American logistics industry. You can read the full article on our website, link in bio.
So tell us about that discovery. I mean, I know you can't always reveal exactly how you found out, but what can you tell us?
I mean, I think it's what we saw in the video was really like the key highlights, and it's absolutely like it's ridiculous, right? Like it's crazy to think about a warehouse in New Jersey that has 91% of all seafaring Israel-bound military cargo. That doesn't even feel like a real sentence. I think like what we have seen over and over and over and over again is the ways that the United States will defy all logic to support Israel, but because of course we know that the United States itself is acting in Zionist interests and is Zionist itself. And so this latest discovery of the IFS, the Interglobal Forwarding Services, and the related entities in Jersey City have operated as logistics agents for the Israeli Ministry of Defense and Israeli weapons manufacturers. And this means that our public infrastructure, which is built to serve our residents is being used as a militarized supply chain to ship dangerous and potentially explosive materials that fuel war abroad. This takes place near schools, homes, businesses, essential services, and it takes place with no transparency or community consent. And I think that that's been really a large part of our work, right? That of course, ultimately, what we want is the material change, is the material end to the supplying of weapons to Israel. And what we see along the way is that as we expose this research, as we expose this complicity and this active enablement, people are discovering that it's right there in their neighborhoods, and they just never knew about it because of how much it's been hidden. And I think that this really speaks to the fact that, like, having this warehouse, as is, similar to other forms of complicities, is not only immoral, but it's a direct threat to public safety. Transporting and storing explosive or hazardous military cargo through densely populated neighborhoods violates the basic responsibility to protect residents. And so, I think as people all over the country are claiming, the people of New Jersey are saying that our cities must protect us and not serve as outposts for Israel, serving foreign militaries or weapons corporations.
Right. Yeah. This is a really clear example of, like the imperial boomerang, right? The way that as Cesar talked about, the way that what we do abroad comes back home. I mean, it's more that's more about the violence, right? That we commit abroad or we fund or enable abroad. But this is just a reminder of the global nature of this genocide.
Absolutely.
So, we are now 2 years into this genocide, and even though there's an official ceasefire, I mean, you have even Amnesty International, which is hardly radical, is declaring that the genocide isn't over. What are your thoughts on where we are today and the strength of the protest movement?
I think it's really really hard, right? Like as a Palestinian or as a person, to try to claim or feel victory or success in this moment as we continue to watch the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people, as we continue to see horrific reports of rape and torture that are coming out of Israeli prisons, of Palestinians, as we continue to watch children be murdered for crossing a line they didn't know was there. Like all of these horrific examples of the violence that Palestinians are still enduring, I think are constant reminders to us of the duty to continue. And we must continue, and we also must recognize that where we are today is fundamentally different than where we were 2 years ago in terms of the shift in political consciousness that has happened globally. And so I think, to your question about protest movements, I think we are where we are because of the resistance that has come, because of people refusing to accept that this genocide can happen or will happen and go unnoticed and go with no resistance. And so the movement that we have built has not stopped the genocide, and that does not mean that it has not set us up so that we can continue demand, so that we make sure that a genocide like this is never possible again.
Right. Yeah. I know it's a kind of a hard tightrope to walk, right? Because you want to acknowledge how the genocide is ongoing, and at the same time, you have to kind of, like, for the sake of sustaining a movement, you have to take stock in victories. You have to be clear-eyed about it, but also you do have to, take a moment to what's the verb I'm looking for here? Appreciate what has been done as as we still mourn. But to fight, sometimes it's really helpful to kind of like take stock of that so we can continue the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, taking stock of that like means also looking at the just like very tangible, like I just listed at the beginning of this some of the successes of the movement and the ways that we are enacting a people's arms embargo when the institutions that are supposed to be upholding these human rights laws are not doing so. And we're seeing these attacks on the Palestine movement, not just in the US, but in Canada and Europe, globally. And that tells us that we are doing something and the movement is succeeding. And it's really, really important that we continue to push the gas now.
Right. So another question I had for you is talk about your own personal relationship with Palestine. You said as a Palestinian. So what is your family's trajectory?
Yeah, so, my family was displaced from our homes in 1967. And so I was born in Jordan and kind of moved around a bunch when I was younger, moved from country to country, from city to city. But I think the constant theme throughout my childhood is I remember when I would ask my parents, like, why are we moving again? Where are we going? Why are we moving? Why are we getting further and further from home? What they would tell me is we are moving because we were displaced, because we are not allowed to go back to our home, because our home was taken from us, was stolen from us by Zionists and by Zionism, by the state of Israel. And they would continue to remind me that it is not just by chance, right? But that there is a reason why my life is the way that it is. And I think that this gave me a really political understanding of my life and of my conditions and of the conditions of my people. And to understand that it's not that things just like appear or things happen for no reason, but they are happening for a reason. And I think that, of course, that politic developed into understanding that imperialism is the drive and Zionism is the drive behind this violence. But I got to college and I wanted to do something. So I started Students for Justice in Palestine chapter and organized with SJP at my undergrad. And I think through that I had a lot of experiences in which I was consistently reminded of just how like inexplicably, like unfathomably brutal of a ideology Zionism is. And I think, all in all, that those pieces really shaped my trajectory as an organizer and ultimately, and I think importantly, not only knowing my story, right, but knowing the story of my parents and my grandparents showed me that this demand for an arms embargo is not a demand that is only important when we are actively seeing on our phones bombs dropping on Gaza, right? This demand, what Israel is doing in times where they're not using the bombs is they are restocking the bombs. And so we cannot be a reactive movement. We cannot wait for the next genocide. There can't be another genocide, right? We must take it upon ourselves, and it is in our hands to make sure that can't be possible. And so I think recently I've really been reflecting on that and reflecting on how this demand has been solidified as a global demand recently, but I think has been in the consciousness of people for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that, something else that PYM has a very kind of astute analysis, I would say. Sometimes the good thing about Palestine becoming an increasingly increasingly shared support of Palestine has increased so much, right? I mean, it's shocking to me when I compare what the world was like 10 years ago even, and this used to be like a third rail issue. Of course, in some places it still is, but it's also like it's so clear that this is not a fringe issue, that this is a really important issue. And I think that when we talk about Palestine, that means it's a much more mainstream issue. But so sometimes I'll talk to people about Palestine. We agree on Palestine, but the analysis, whereas before, in order to have a good analysis of Palestine, you had to have a good, sophisticated political analysis more generally. Now you don't, which is a sign of progress, right? You don't have to be that critical of world systems to just say blowing up kids is bad. But share some of your kind of political analysis and PYM's analysis and how you connect what's happening in Gaza, for instance, to what's happening in Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, kind of related to what I was just saying, like when we have a political analysis that understands that imperialism and capitalism and Zionism are the veins that are connecting all of these issues that we are seeing worldwide, then we can act to intervene in those places. And so, you know, like we hear about, actually just the other day, you know, I think there was a report that was released by, I can't remember who, but it talked about how there's AI powered quadcopters or quadcopter drones, I think it was, that have played a crucial role in Israel's genocide in Gaza that are now being used to surveil cities in the United States. And these drones, I think, operate like without human users and are all sorts of things. But, you know, they were used in the early weeks of the genocide, and they were sent over. And since then, we don't know how many have been sent over. But now there are contracts with over 800 law enforcement and security agencies in the U.S., giving them the presence in nearly every major city. I think include like from Boston to Chicago to Detroit and others. And so this is a really tangible example, as there are many, many, many examples of what it means when we talk about joint U.S.-Israeli coordination, right? That the coordination not only of weapons, but of strategies, of training, of everything goes hand in hand. And they're what the weapons that were tested in Gaza are now being transported to the United States and are being used in other parts of the world. And so this analysis, this materialist analysis, which links between Zionist violence in Palestine and the fascist repression in the United States, could not be clearer. And these developments, although are unsurprising, I think are a really important reminder of the genocidal imperialism. That genocidal imperialism knows no bounds, and that when we think about Palestine as you know, people say Palestine is the center of the world. I don't know if you've heard that, but yeah. When we talk about Palestine as the center of the world, Palestine is the place where you can see everything. It is where everything is connected, and it is not only where everything is connected, but it is where everything becomes so visible and so clear that it is undeniable. And like you said, you don't need to have all sorts of analysis to understand that killing children is bad.
Right. Yeah. So what, excuse me, sorry about this. You know, you one of the things that we see, and you mentioned this earlier, is this the way that Israel is celebrating basically, you know, there was this mass rape narrative that Hamas engaged in mass rape. Western media claimed that, you know, shot that out as propaganda, perpetuated that talking point, never corrected itself. And at the same time, when there was actually documented rape of Palestinians, the media didn't cover that. I mean, it's so clear how much they weaponize sexual violence and don't care about sexual violence unless it's to further a genocide. I mean, they're not conscious about that per se, but they definitely, that's what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know. I can't do it. Like, I haven't done brain scans on people. So you do have some people who are cynical liars and some people who are just in denial and some people who are just dupes. But, you know, it's not like some bad apples. I mean, there's a real celebration of this. So we actually have, and PYM tweeted this out the other day. So you have a group of accused rapists whose actions were captured on that leaked State Taman detention center video. They entered the courtroom the other day, and here's how they were greeted. And this is videos from November 11th. we have any Hebrew speakers in the chat, let us know what they're saying. I'll keep playing it, and I'll actually text some people to see if we can learn that. But so, yeah, I mean, it's you kind of can't make it up. The fact that these people are not even hiding it. I mean, we know that they had right to rape protests. We know that a member of the Knesset said it was legitimate to insert sticks into people's rectums. What is your thought of this this culture of impunity, and also the way the Western media ignores one mass rape campaign while fabricating one that didn't happen?
You know, Katie, I've watched that video so many times, and every time I see it, I feel sick to my stomach. I think when we talk about Zionism, and when we see these kinds of videos, we have to understand that the reason why it's not one bad apple is because Zionism is a sick ideology. It's like Zionism as an ideology is fundamentally anti-life. It is fundamentally anti-rights. It is fundamentally anti-anything that any person with a heart would stand for. And so when we see these videos, we are reminded, just as we see thousands of reminders every single day, that Israel, as we of course know, is not a redeemable state. And there is absolutely no liberation until complete liberation for Palestinians. So
I just want to make sure that people heard you said it's not a space redeemable state. So I want to make sure people don't think you were saying it's not irredeemable.
It is not. It cannot be redeemed.
You said it correctly. It's easy to miss. It's easy to hear when you said is not a space redeemable state. I at first thought you were saying it's not irredeemable. Anyway,
I see.
But
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. No, absolutely. It cannot be redeemed. And you know, these lies that are, you know, I think, let me take a step back. Actually, you know, when we hear fabricated or manufactured lies, right? We have to think about what purpose are these lies serving? What are they doing? Why are they being spread? And what they are doing ultimately is making it so that Palestinians are a bombable population. They are dehumanizing Palestinians so that anything that Israel wants to do to them is considered, as you said, justifiable, as the Israeli representative said. And so when we talk about Western media's complicity in spreading these lies, we're not talking about just like an abstract, oh, you're not saying the right thing. Like, Western media is actively making it so that it is more possible for Israel to continue murdering Palestinians by dehumanizing Palestinians to the point where we can't, people don't think twice about it. But of course, Zionism is such a sick ideology that, like, they say things like this that even someone that doesn't know anything about anything is like, what the heck, you know? And so these lies, I think, serve a purpose, and I think that the counter to it, when we see these kinds of videos and we don't see them spread the same way that the other side is spread, that is also serving a purpose, and that ultimately is to make it so that Israel, the US, and all other Zionist institutions can annihilate Palestinians and take Palestinian land and fulfill their goal of settler colonialism.
Yeah, it's very clear the way it's the purpose of atrocity propaganda, right? That's why it's not enough to document whatever crimes may or may not have occurred. You have to make it a level of grotesqueness that, ironically, again, it's like every accusation is a confession.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is, again and again and again, like, it would be one thing if the media didn't correct itself. It wouldn't be acceptable, but it would be one thing if they didn't correct itself about the mass rape campaign that Hamas did not commit, but they covered the campaign that Israeli did commit a rape, right? That would be one level of dishonesty and media malpractice. But just doing the one side only, while another thing was documented and is acknowledged in Israeli media, is just it is so unforgivable. And it makes it so clear how little this is about reporting and information, and how much it is a propaganda tool.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. What other things do you want to talk about? Other things that you guys are working on? Any just comments that you want to share?
Yeah, I would say if you have not already visited the embargoforpalestine.com website, the PEP website, please do so. You can endorse, you can find ways to get involved. We recently had a webinar with comrades from all over the world that, if it hasn't already been uploaded, will be uploaded on there. And so really, really encourage you all to check out the campaign and check out the website and follow our work on social media. And of course, to continue organizing in your cities, in your locales, taking up local arms embargo campaigns that are taking the power into our own hands and making it clear that whether or not the United Nations actually does something, whether or not these institutions that are supposed to do something actually do something, we are going to do something, and we are going to do it in our cities, in our countries, and all over the world.
Actually, can you update us about what the United Nations just did? Or failed to do recently? I think there's something PY. I can get this. I think PYM was talking about this. If not, I may be confused. I thought there was a campaign around this, but I think I may be confused. Hold on one second. What was the?
Was this around the Board of Peace stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So, as some folks might have seen, the UN Security Council, through the bullying of the US, passed a resolution that would effectively greenlight an American occupation of Gaza, which we know is not reconstruction, it's not stabilization, it's a foreign occupation, dressed up in the language of peace, and sets a really, really dangerous precedent in modern history. So it's a really disgusting and absurd reality, and it's even more disgusting and absurd that the people who funded and armed a genocide for the past 2 years will now determine the future of the people that they genocided.
Right.
Yeah,
it's really disgusting.
It is absolutely, and I think maybe the last thing that I'll say here is, I think, when we think about a two-way arms embargo, a two-way arms embargo is not only fulfilling an arms embargo demand, but it is intervening in the very thing that I just said, right? It is intervening in making sure that the people that are making money off of the mass murder of Palestinians are also then not making money off of the reconstruction of Gaza. It's such a bizarre thing. And so when we talk about an arms embargo, when we talk about a people's arms embargo is how we defend Palestinian sovereignty and how we defend Palestinian futures.
Right. Great. Well, thank you so much, Roua, and thanks to PYM for everything that you guys do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was great talking to you.
You too. Have a great day. Night. Okay, we are going to keep the show going. If you have not already liked the show, sorry about my cough. If you have not already liked the show, please give it a thumbs up. And we want to remind you that to see this full show, go to patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. We'll have some Patreon only content from tonight. If you're watching it live, you're in luck. You get to see the whole thing. And we do that because we literally could not make this show happen without your Patreon support. So patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. It is Giving Tuesday, so you can definitely feel free to join the Patreon. And we're going to bring up the next guest. Also subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. But very excited to be bringing on for the first time our wonderful guests. Sorry, I'm going to cough again. Okay, wait. 1 second. Okay, we are so excited Sorry about this. We're so excited to bring on Moeed Pirzada, who is a British Pakistani geostrategic analyst, television anchor, columnist, and commentator who has been living in exile in Washington, D.C. since the regime change in Pakistan 3 years ago. He has written extensively for outlets including The Guardian and Al Jazeera, and has interviewed Prime Ministers Benazir Bhutto and Imran Khan, as well as former UK Prime Minister David Cameron and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. So welcome, Dr. Moeed Pirzada. Thank you so much for joining us.
Katie, thank you for bringing me and taking interest in the issues of Pakistan, which is a very misunderstood subject here in the United States. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, actually, as I said at the beginning of the show, we really haven't focused on that issue. We haven't dedicated a full segment to it. So because of that, can you just set the stage for people of what is happening in Pakistan, kind of like as we speak, but we can't really understand what's happening now and what is being done to Imran Khan without understanding a bit of the at least recent history. So tell us about Imran Khan, and of course we're going to get to the Epstein files in which we hear Epstein talk about Imran Khan. Tell us who he is and how he wound up where he is today.
Okay, so Katie, before I actually go to who Imran Khan is, why he's so important and why there's so much focus on him, let me give you an overall idea. Whereas the United States population is about 350 million, Pakistan is the fifth largest nation state in the world with a population of more than 250 million. And it's the second largest Muslim country after Indonesia, the only Muslim nation with nuclear weapons, the largest military anywhere in a Muslim country. So the present crisis starts when there was a regime change operation, which is allegedly was actually helped by the US institutions like the CENTCOM and the CIA in 2022. Now, the present crisis which we see starts from February 2024, when there was a general election in Pakistan after a lot of delay. And the military tried to make it sure that they will manage the election. But by midnight, when the election results were on, the exit polls started to come, Imran Khan's party, the former Prime Minister's party, was sweeping the elections with almost two-thirds majority. So the military went into the offices of the election and they changed all the results. They stopped everything. They took control of all the television channels, which may look surprising to many in the United States, but it's perfectly possible in Pakistan. So they controlled the media, they controlled the newspapers, the television channels and everything. And they took about 14 hours or 18 hours to change the results. And then they created a dummy fake government, which is represented by Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. Now, at the moment, as we speak, there is another drama going on in Pakistan, which involves Imran Khan, which also involves this dummy government, because this dummy government is not prepared to extend the army chief's tenure for another 5 years. So they're loggerheads with each other. So this is the drama which is unfolding right now. The other thing that has happened in the last 24 hours is that after almost 30 days of keeping Imran Khan incommunicado, he's in Adiala jail for all trumped-up charges. They didn't allow his sisters, his family, his political party, his lawyers to meet him. So after almost about 30 days, and in between these 30 days, there were rumors that they had probably killed him. So it was taken up by the Indian media. It was taken up by a section of the Pakistani, of the American media, like the Drop site and other places. So finally, they have allowed about 20 minutes meeting with Imran Khan's sister, who says that he is physically all right, but he says that he has been totally incommunicado. He's not allowed to come out of his jail cell. And as a result, he's suffering a huge mental torture. So if you ask me more questions, I'll explain every aspect of it.
Yeah, great. So, and here's Imran Khan right here. This is obviously not a recent picture because he's in jail. I do have more questions about his biography because it's pretty fascinating. So can you tell us a little about it? And then we're going to go to actually we have the video of the sister after visiting him, but tell us about how his kind of trajectory.
So Katie, in generally people refer to him, and this is a very superficial comment, people refer to him that he was a cricket superstar because he had played county cricket in Britain for 22 plus years, and he then became the captain of the Pakistani cricket team. In that capacity, that was the only time he managed the team in such a way that Pakistan won the World Cup in 1992. But that is actually a very superficial reference to him because he then founded the largest political party in the country. And before creating this political party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, he had been a philanthropist. I mean, he had led a health and education movement in the country, in which he had established the cancer hospitals, starting with the cancer hospital in Lahore, then one in Peshawar, then in Karachi. And for that cancer hospital, he raised charity from all across the world, from the Pakistani diasporas. And this is how a political movement was shaped from United States. That is why the Pakistani diasporas, you might be a bit familiar, are so interested in him, because they massively contributed to that health campaign that subsequently also saw the creation of the universities. At the same time, he created a popular party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which actually means justice for the people of Pakistan. So he created that political party in 1996, and gradually the political party became the largest political party in the country, especially after 2010 and 19. He won the general elections in 2018, and the Epstein files, the Epstein leak, the emails relate to that time period in 2018 when he won the election, and to many powerful lobbies across the world, in United Kingdom, in India, in United States, maybe in Israel, we're not pretty sure, but Epstein emails point to that, saw Imran Khan's rise in Pakistan is a threat. But that is actually, if you'll ask me the questions, I'll explain you, that is based on total misunderstanding about Imran Khan and also about Pakistan. The information is very superficial.
Got it. Okay. And had his politics changed over time? And how would you define his political ideology, Imran Khan?
You can, if from a purely academic point of view, someone, I have known him, I have worked in Pakistani media for more than 20 plus years. Before that, I had worked for federal government in Pakistan. I have also been a physician in my life. So, I have a really different way of looking at things. Imran Khan is very misunderstood. He's a nationalist. He's just like any nationalist leader anywhere in the world. But in order to put him down and to demonize him, he has often been described as a Taliban Khan or as an Islamist. But none of that could be, this is as far away from the truth, because when you look at his sister, for instance, his main sister that is known to the world is Alima Khan. All his sisters are educated, they are doctors, they have worked for World Bank, they have worked for international institutions. And
you won't hold that against them. Just kidding.
Yeah, in the sense that, it is not even like the Turkish President Erdogan. His family is very westernized. They have gone to Western institutions. They've worked across the international institutions, and he's a centrist. He's a nationalist. He's a centrist. He's not someone who's advocating for Islamic laws or Islamization of the society. Yes, he's a nationalist. He had a strong position that Pakistan should have self-respect. We're not going to give basis to United States for operations against Afghanistan or for anyone. He had a strong position on India vis-a-vis Kashmir, and all these things put together, the various powerful political interests across the world interpreted him or presented him in a different way.
Yeah. And why are we're not going to get into Epstein yet, but why did how would you describe the way he was removed from power?
You see, there's a lot of controversy. Why was he removed from power? Principally, he was removed from power by the Pakistani military as a result of a nexus between the politicians, the Pakistan Muslim League, Shahbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif, that are currently controlling the government, and between the then Pakistan Army Chief, which is the military chief, because the term in Pakistan is the army rather than the US term military. But there are allegations, there are serious allegations, and there's some truth to it, that US institutions like the Central Intelligence Agency, the CENTCOM, and the Department of State have played a role. There is a controversy which is called as the cipher controversy, that the top Donald Lu, who was then an Assistant Secretary of State, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia, he told the Pakistani then Ambassador Asim Majid that Imran Khan should be kicked out because his foreign policy is very problematic. But that's a very controversial area. Principally, it's a nexus between Pakistani military, which has a very close relationship with US military, the Central Command, and US intelligence community, and a nexus between the Pakistani politician that led to regime change in Pakistan. But the United States got involved because of its close military-to-military relationship.
Right. Okay, and I'll ask you more about that later because I'm pretty intrigued by that. But let's now take a look at his sister, what she had to say after a recent visit to him in jail. And I will I'll read what she says for people who are just okay. Oops, let me start. Okay. Today I met Imran Khan. So when I met him, actually, let me lower the volume a little bit. When I met him, he seemed deeply frustrated and upset. He mentioned about his health. I'm telling about his health. He said that much. They have kept him and Bushra Bibi, his wife, under mental torture. He said he's being kept in a very small room. They haven't let anyone see him for 4 weeks. I was the one who met him for the last time 4 weeks ago, and he said that this is mental torture is worse than physical torture. It's worse than physical torture. And he said that this is all happening because of Asim Munir. He is responsible. And when I told him that how the police dragged Noreen Niazi, his second sister, dragged her on the road, he was quite upset by that. And he said, I'm going to repeat his words in diplomatic language. He said that it is all done on the orders of Asim Munir. And he said he is mentally sick person. He has sunk to this low level. He said only he can descend so low, and no one can descend this low except for him. Munir, he's talking about. Imagine how old is he? No. They have not even spared an elderly cancer survivor like Yasmin Rashid is kept in jail. Bushra Bibi, Imran Khan's wife, has also been kept in jail for so long. In isolation, she's not allowed to meet her children. Sorry, I think I missed something. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. They have not provided with basic facilities to her. He said it's just a matter of time. Everything is done on Asim Munir's instructions. And well, then he gave some instructions for his political party, and as they have not been allowed to meet him for so long, you know. Okay. So his supporters wanted proof of life, which they got. So what are your thoughts on this report?
It was expected that they will finally let him meet on 2nd December. The meeting was very brief, was less than 30 minutes, but there was also a political trick in the meeting. Between since General Asim Munir, whom the sister continues to refer as the main villain in the story, is at loggerheads with the present government which he has created himself, the Prime Minister Sharif's government, who he wanted to issue a notification for the next 5 years so that he can be the army chief. He's also created a new office for himself through a constitutional reform on gunpoint, which is being referred to as Commander of the Defense Forces. And he is now taking control of the army, not only the army, but also the Air Force and the Navy. He wants to be basically the Pakistan's all-in-all a dictator like Saddam Hussein or Bashar al-Assad for the rest of his life. Now, the present civilian government, which is also his own creation, now they are actually worried that if we give him this carte blanche, this power, he's going to remove us and he's going to create a new political dispensation for himself. So they are resisting him. They're trying to bring intervening political something in the military so that they are, between Asim Munir and the military, they want to create another office. And they're not issuing his notification, which he wanted, which was supposed to be issued on 27th and 28th. In between this controversy, while the whole debate was now raging on Asim Munir's notification, he has allowed this meeting to take place in the jail, and he totally controls the jail. The military controls the jail. So this is in fact a politics within a politics. This is a wheel within a wheel, the meeting that took place today. And he thought that maybe something comes out that helps him, but unfortunately, nothing came out that helped him because the sister comes up and she blames Asim Munir for all that.
Okay, got it, yeah. So why is it that, you know, one of the things that I didn't know, and I follow politics somewhat closely, though, again, not Pakistan is not in my kind of my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm generally just, I think Imran Khan is good, and the people who oppose him are bad. I mean, I'm sure there's some good people who oppose him, maybe, but not the people who support the people who regime changed him. But, you know, I'm surprised by how little attention he gets from leftist media, from leftist thinkers. And I didn't even know that he had been shot in the leg. So here's a video about this. It's from 2022.
In the chaotic moments after the shooting, Imran Khan had to be carried out and whisked away from the crowd. A gunman had opened fire at a rally of tens of thousands of his supporters. His target, Khan's party says, was the former Prime Minister himself. Shot in the lower leg, he was bundled into a bulletproof car and driven 2 hours to Lahore for surgery. A party senior leader released a statement from Khan saying Pakistan's old cricketing hero blamed Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, his interior minister, and a senior intelligence official for an attempt on his life, calling for their removal from office. It was, the government said, a grievous accusation. Outside the hospital, people waited desperately for news. Protests broke out across the country as news of the shooting spread. 6 others were injured in the attack, and 1 was killed, according to a senator from Khan's political party. Please pray for Imran Khan, for our fellow workers who are injured, this senator says, and for our party member who has died. Khan had been on the campaign trail to demand snap elections in Pakistan after he was ousted in a vote of no confidence in parliament just 6 months ago, accused of bad governance and mismanaging the country's flailing economy.
Okay, so again, how do you, what are your thoughts on this?
Kitty, you have raised 2 pertinent questions. Basically, the one question, and then you have actually raised another question inside it. That why the US media, even the left-leaning US media, has not taken any interest in Pakistan.
Yeah.
This is a very puzzling question. If the US legacy media, the mainstream media, and now the social media had taken a greater professional interest in Pakistan, perhaps the situation would not have drifted in the dangerous direction in which it is drifting at the moment. But the reason perhaps is that Pakistan, the relationship between Pakistan has always been a military-to-military relationship starting from early 1950s. And this relationship between the US military and the Pakistani military did not allow any other kind of relationship to develop with Pakistan, because the military started to dominate the complete social life, the media, the intellectual life, the political life, the institutional life of Pakistan. So Pakistan is now, can be described academically, that Pakistan is nothing left other than the military. So whenever there is any objection or condemnation of Pakistan, for instance, in context of Afghanistan, the US military started saying that Pakistan has been playing double games with them. You might have heard these kind of things, that Pakistanis are not being fair. It is not about Pakistan. It is all about the military. So how the US military is playing for the Washington or is playing against the Washington, what is it doing to India, what is it doing in Afghanistan. So Pakistan has never developed any relationship, media to media, business to business, politics to politics, human to human, despite the fact that within the United States, there are very successful Pakistani-American diaspora community of Pakistani origin. But even the Pakistani military is so powerful that they are capable of influencing the mind and the opinions which the Pakistani community within the United States takes. And they're also running one of the most sophisticated and ruthless campaign of transnational repression. Anyone, like I'm appearing on your TV program, they will find out someone who's close to me, they're going to arrest him or detain him. They keep on, every time they see me somewhere, going to Congress or somewhere, they register a new case against me. So the whole relationship is dominated by the Pakistani military, and they have not allowed any understanding about Pakistan or any interest about the society of Pakistan to develop in the United States. But if you and many others in the United States can help develop that interest, things will start changing in Pakistan. So now coming to the second thing, it was not only he was shot in the leg, Imran Khan, on 2nd November 2022, they actually tried to assassinate him. Right. Because at that time, he was running a political rally and a campaign starting from Lahore in the south of Pakistan, coming to Rawalpindi. He was demanding that the next army chief should be appointed on merit. And this gentleman, the Asim Munir, who you continue to refer everyone, was actually a retired army officer at the time. But Nawaz Sharif, an important Pakistani politician, managed to appoint him as the army chief. Imran at the time was demanding that the army chief should be appointed on merit. And when he was on the way, close to halfway through, they hired an assassin and tried killing him. He fortunately survived with the grace of God, but there has been no investigation into that murder to this day.
Yeah, I kind of buried the lead there when I said he'd been shot in the leg. I mean, it was an assassination attempt.
Definitely.
Yeah. And talk about, to the extent that you can, I mean, you are living in exile. So why did you have to leave Pakistan yourself?
I was a prominent television anchor person in Pakistan and a writer and editor with access at all levels with the military, the foreign service, the politics. On 22nd and 23rd of October 2022, a very dear colleague of mine who was the most important Pakistani politician at the time, the military allegedly killed him in Kenya. He had left because they were trying to arrest him, so he ran off. He was in exile in Dubai, in UAE. There, the military tried deporting him back from Dubai, and the UAE authorities didn't deport him, but they actually forced him to leave, and he ended up in Kenya. In the Kenya, he was murdered.
Kenya and Africa. Kenya.
Yeah, in Africa. In Nairobi, close to Nairobi, the capital. He was there for a few days, and they chased him and they shot him. Now, of course, they say, no, this was an accident, something else happened. But every Pakistani knows that the Pakistani military shot the journalist Arshad Sharif. When they shot him, I sensed the things in Pakistan, though at that time I was not threatened for my life. They used to call me over in the midnight. They would brief me. They said, don't write this. At that time, principally, the problem was with the Twitter. Twitter has emerged as the most important political tool in Pakistani politics. So they used to object to my tweets, and I realized that things will go south. So I thought that maybe in the next few months, the situation will improve. And I was a US resident, so I left, and I was a British citizen. So I left Pakistan. I came here in the end of October 2022, and I thought I'll go back. But the things started going south. Things started getting more, I mean, like I was here in DC, Washington, when Imran Khan was shot on 2nd November. I saw that on television, right? And then, there have been massive instances, and the US media has not reported that how perhaps hundreds of people have been allegedly killed on 26th of November 2024, when there were almost 100,000 people that came from all over Pakistan. They reached the capital city, Islamabad. They're demanding that Pakistan's constitution be preserved, Pakistan's Supreme Court should not be destroyed. And right very close to Pakistan's parliament and Pakistani Supreme Court, the military, paramilitaries shot at them. They took away the dead bodies. It was almost reminiscent to, you might have heard the term banana massacre in Latin America and Colombia in 1928, which Garcia, the famous author of 100 Years of Solitude.
Garcia Marquez,
Yeah, Garcia Marquez. Garcia Marquez mentions the banana massacre in his book 100 Years of Solitude. When the Colombian military killed the laborers, that was related to the United Fruit Company, which is now called as the Chiquita Banana Company. And they took away the dead bodies. It's believed that anywhere from 50 to 1,000 laborers were killed. Similarly, in Pakistan, publicly it's known as only 12 or 14 people were killed that day on 26 November. But privately, people believe that maybe more than 100 or several hundred people were killed and the dead bodies were taken away. And it has not been reported by New York Times. I was shocked, the correspondent of New York Times writes in New York Times that apparently people say that firing has taken place. He hasn't even mentioned that, the massive firing that took place in the middle of the night. Similarly, this year, on 13th October 2025, the military inspired a political party that was an Islamist political party to demonstrate against Israel. And then, in order to create the impression upon the Western world that, look, anyone, how much problem we have in recognizing Israel or sending troops to Gaza, they actually shot at them. Once again, no one knows how many people have died on 13th October 2025 in Moeed. It is believed that officially only 4 people. But if you look at the story which has been published by Ryan Grimm in the drop site, they fear that a very large number of people have died. Initially, people thought perhaps hundreds of people have died. On Pakistani television channel Sama, someone said 600 people have died. So this is the kind of situation in Pakistan, which is not being reported by New York Times, Washington Post. It is not being on CNN or CBS or any of the legacy United States media. If it had been there, things would change.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we see so much that the role of media when they are what they choose to expose and not expose, and how they really are in cahoots with political agendas as they pretend to be objective and not biased. And here, by the way, is the journalist who you mentioned,
Arshad Sharif.
Yes, who was killed in Kenya. Yeah, so I just wanted to show a picture of him so people had a sense of him. Yeah, no, that it doesn't get a lot of media attention at all. And again, it doesn't even get attention from the leftist media. I think because people are kind of just generally ignorant about it. And as you said, the legacy media certainly doesn't pay attention to it. So right now, actually, I want to ask you about something else that is happening, which is, excuse me, I have to cough again.
Cough is natural.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Wanted to ask you about the 27th Amendment.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yes, you see, there are two sets of amendments. One was the 26th Amendment, which happened in October-November 2024. And the second is now the 27th Amendment. So with these two amendments, 26th Amendment and 27th Amendment, the Constitution of Pakistan, as it was framed unanimously in 1973, now stands dead. The whole Constitution has been militarized. Now, in this 27th Amendment, the Army Chief and all service chiefs, the Pakistan Army Chief, the Naval Chief, and Air Force Chief, they have been given life immunity, as if they will be wearing uniform till the moment of the death, and no legal case, no prosecution, no inquiry, no investigation can be brought against them. I mean, this is actually the sense of guilt they have. Also, they have produced a massive centralization of the Constitution, and they're trying to change the nature of Pakistani state into the way the Communist Party of China is running China. And while in this country, since there is no understanding, they are also playing, I mean, this is the most interesting thing is that Pakistani military is playing a honeymoon at one end with Donald Trump, the President Donald Trump, who has, for the first time in the 200+ year history of United States, met an army general in uniform. Never before a US president has ever met an army general in uniform. Yes, generals became presidents and, they were controlling a country. And then the American presidents have welcomed them in White House. But in this case, a sitting army general wearing a uniform was received by Donald Trump, which has further strengthened him. So on one hand, they're playing a honeymoon with Washington. On the other side, they're having a lover relationship with Beijing, where they are actually making presentations. The nature of Pakistani state is Western democracy, which is flawed. And this should actually be changed on the pattern of the Communist Party of China. So this is a very interesting thing. The US media, you have taken a right step. If US media starts taking an interest in what's really happening in Pakistan, things will change. Yes, Katie, I lost you. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. No, I muted myself because I was coughing. Sorry, that's my fault. Talk to us about the latest Epstein files revelations that relate to Imran Khan and his comments about Imran Khan. I have some receipts to show, but maybe just set it up before we get into what was said. Don't go anywhere, guys. That was so interesting, but don't go anywhere because a couple things to say. If you are watching live, you're in luck. You got to see that whole thing. If you're watching this later and you want to see a little discussion about Jeffrey Epstein and Imran Khan, you can do that at patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. And it was really wonderful talking to Dr. Moeed. Now we are doing something exciting, which is where we have good news, which is not something that we always are able to share in the world and on this show. And that's because we cover really important issues that often have us despairing rather than celebrating. But as people know, we covered the kidnapping, the arrest, the torture of Mohammed Ibrahim. We spoke to Ziad Kaddour, Mohammed's uncle. And just as a reminder, over 9.5 months ago, Mohammed Ibrahim, who's a U.S. citizen of Palestinian origin, but he was born and raised in the States. Not that that matters, except it does a little bit because it makes America's failure to act more hypocritical, because we know they don't care about Palestinians, but they claim to care about American citizens. So this American citizen was visiting his family in the West Bank. He was abducted from his family's house at 3 a.m. in the morning by the IOF for supposedly throwing rocks at some settlers and their vehicles. He was 15 at the time. Multiple others were arrested at the same time for that same supposed incident. And we should point out that his cousin, Saif, was murdered. He was 20 years old. And when Mohammed went to jail, he didn't know about his cousin, who was then killed. So condolences to the family once again about not only what they went through with Mohammed, but of course the murder, literal murder of Saif. So we had Zayad Kaddour on twice to talk about this case. And fast forward to the present day, Mohammed at now 16 has finally been freed, along with the other people, the other kids accused of throwing rocks. And Zayad was not able to join us on tonight's show, Mohammed's uncle, but he did give us a nice message that we're going to play now.
Hey Katie, hey everybody. Sorry I'm in the car, I'm driving, but I'll make this quick. You know, first of all, you know, we have really good news. Mohammed's home. He's with his mother, his father, his sister. He's getting the love and the nutrition and the rest that he needs before we bring him back to the States. He's not healthy enough to travel just yet, but he's slowly getting there. Secondly, thank you. Thank you to everybody. Everybody who tried, everybody who had the intentions of reuniting a child with his family, just like every child deserves. You know, we appreciate you guys so much. Katie, you know, influencers on social media, congressmen, congresswomen, senators, thank you guys all so much. We love you. We'll never forget what you guys done for us. And when Mohammed's home, he'll thank you guys all individually. It's been an honor to send you guys this message, to give you guys this happy update. And, you know, hopefully we can do this more. Hopefully we get more good news out of this world. Thank you guys.
So that was Zayad Kaddour. We're so grateful for him, to him for making that short message. And here is a before and after of Mohammed, just to get a sense of how terribly he was treated. So as Jasper Nathaniel, the great journalist who covered this story, tweeted, "If this is how Israel treated one of its most high-profile prisoners, a child and a citizen of its closest ally, imagine how it treats the thousands of others." And here you can see, if you zoom in a little bit, I mean, just first of all, it's amazing that he's smiling in both pictures. He seems like an incredible kid. There he is on the right, and there he is emaciated on the left. And that's because if you are in an Israeli prison, as we've seen from release after release, you're denied food, even though, of course, it's not Israel that has had a starvation campaign inflicted on them. That would have been Gaza. That was Gaza. So, again, really happy about that, and that Mohammed has been released, that his friends have been released. And thank you to everyone who did stuff, who worked to free him. Anything that you did played a role in that, I'm sure. And so, yeah, it's great to be able to say something to show a victory. Again, we have to remember that countless other Palestinians, including Palestinian children, are locked up and will never even be tried because they do something called administrative detention, which is when you're allowed to keep people indefinitely. Thank you, everyone, so much. I think I have wait, do we also have a video, Brad? Did I give you a video of Mohammed? Hold on. I think I did. And I have a funny story about this. Hold on. Let me just show you one more thing. Okay. Here. Brad, do you mind playing one more thing? And yeah, there are over 350 kids in jails, Palestinian kids in Israeli jails that we know of. Brad, I gave you one more video, and then I have a funny story to share about this. So in this video, we're going to see Mohammed. This is after his release. And I will tell you what he says. So first Brad, do us a favor, show us the tweet. Oh, are you going to have a problem with Twitter? I can play it if you do. Yeah, and it's in Arabic, but the text of the tweet is in English. Brad, do you have it, or do you want me to play it? I have it open. Okay, but first show the tweet. In other words, I want to show the tweet. You want me to show the tweet and then you can play the video? Oh, okay. Brad is such an overachiever. Oh, we're gonna do your I know that there are no subtitles. It's okay. Hold on. And then we have to do the Bucky reveal. The Bucky species reveal. Okay. So no, I have, let me show it because I can't, that's not, hold on. Let me just show the thing that I have, because okay. And then we'll show the video. Thanks everyone for your patience. And thanks so much to the team. Okay. So in this video we're about to see, he says, the feeling of freedom, Muhammad says, the feeling of freedom is unbelievable, but the prisoners are isolated and know nothing about the outside world. And this is what Muhammad said. And so let's just take a look. We're not going to understand what he says unless we speak Arabic, but you'll just get a sense of what a life forty is.
وضع الحمد لله تمام بس ما فيش اخبار عن اهلهم ولا بيجينا خبر عن برا ولا بنعرف اشي ولا بيجينا اشي الحمد لله شعور لا يصدق.
Okay, so there, I just wanted you to get a sense of Muhammad and see him. But what's funny, so here's a little funny story about that, is that I texted Rania Kalik because I saw the tweet that said the feeling of freedom is unbelievable, but the prisoners are isolated and know nothing about the outside world. And I wanted to make sure that that was Muhammad who had said that, because as you saw in the video just now, after Muhammad speaks, there's someone else who speaks. So so I texted Rania Kalik and I said, is it Muhammad who says that? And Rania wrote, hold on, this is really funny. I quote, the freedom of freedom is unbelievable, but the prisoners are isolated and know nothing about the outside world, end quote. Is Muhammad the one who says that? And she goes, lol, no idea. And I said, but you speak Arabic. And she goes, I'm the least knowledgeable person about religion. Are you asking if Muhammad the prophet said that? Sorry, I might have misunderstood. And I was like, oh, okay, now I understand. No, sorry, I meant, did Muhammad Ibrahim say that? So little funny interaction between me and Rania that I thought I would share, the pull back the fourth wall on. Okay, and now speaking of the fourth wall, hold on one second. I have to show you guys. I promised I would do this reveal. Oh no, we can do it now. Hold on, let me show it to you. Okay, one second. So we got a DNA test for Bucky. We had been told that he was, when we rescued him, we had been told that he was half Brussels Griffin and half Shih Tzu. That's what we'd been told. Also, you want to see what Bucky looked like before we got him? Hold on. I mean, when he was surrendered by his owners. Okay. Matted. Let's see. Where's the picture of him where he's all matted? Ah, crap. Okay. One second, guys. Thanks to everyone for your patience, because I'm sick today, as people can tell. I've been sick for a while. It's not good. All right, one second. Okay, so we had some good news about Muhammad Ibrahim, and now we're going to end with a little Bucky update. Not as significant, obviously. I don't want to, for 1 second, pretend that they're comparable. Okay, 1 second. Just brightening my screen. Okay, there's that. All right, so I'm going to show you first what Bucky looked like before. So this is what Bucky looked like before we got him. Let me just zoom in on that. Oh my God. It's only because he's okay now that can I think it's cute. But look at how matted he was. Hold on. He had like little dreadlocks. Bucky, come here. Jesus. Okay, now you can see how happy he is right now. Right? Look at that before and after. Okay, such nice hair. And we did think he was a half Shih Tzu, half Brussels Griffin. But we did the test. And you guys ready for the results? Hold on. Here we go. Anyone have any guesses they want to make? What do you think he is mostly? Any guesses? I know his teeth are like the best things ever. Anyone want to guess? Give you 5 seconds to guess, and then I'll show you the results.
I'm going to guess 35% Tasmanian devil.
Oh my God. Someone wrote, looks like it hatched from an egg. LMAO. Cutie Shih Tzu, Terrier. A lot of people said Terrier. Okay, someone wrote Maltese Terrier. I know, it's not Kafia so freaking cute. Sure he ain't English. Actually, Gareth Reynolds from the Dollop loves Bucky and says he's English. Okay, sprinkled Maltese for sure. Coton de Toulier, that would be cute. Wookie, we have a picture of him as a Wookie. Do we have that, Brett? Maybe you can look that up. Okay. Chihuahua. All right. All right. Bucky. Okay, so here it is. Ready? Here's the moment you've all been waiting for. Okay. I really should get sponsored by this company. Embarked. I'm embarked. And he is 43.3% Maltese, 21.1% Pekingese, 19% Shih Tzu, 9.9% Super Mutt, and 4.7% Bichon Frise. So now we have to take him to Malta, where he can learn about his culture. Yeah. Because that's a responsible thing to do. It's very, it's very problematic and fraught to adopt a dog, to rescue a dog. Look at this baby boy.
And here you go.
Oh yeah, that's good. But do you have the one of me and him and Nick? That's a great one.
Maybe.
Malta's a dump. Someone wrote, sorry, Katie, but he's not a dog. What are you talking about? He has all these like things in like leaves in him. He is so cute.
Leaves in him,
like leaves. When you could go for a walk and he runs around.
Like you get, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot better than, I forget what they're called, but
birds.
These little, basically.
Yeah.
Man, those.
How cute is he?
Can get everywhere.
Let me see. Where's the Princess Leia? Oh my God, he was so freaking cute. Isn't he the cutest? Hold on. Ow, he kind of hurt my collarbone though.
No.
Hold on. I know. I know. Hold on. I think I know where I can. Bucky.
There he is.
All right, there he is.
That's the Bucky I know and love.
Yeah. Wookie, hold on.
Well, if need be, Katie, we can have those for next week as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, because that's
because those were good photos. Like your Leia costume, it was
yeah,
good.
Right.
It was good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, we'll show it next time.
Okay.
Because it is. Wait, I think I have a good one here. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna give it to you, Brad. Okay, you want to show it?
Okay.
Oops. How many shows do this? Like hanging out with the dog?
I don't know.
And by the way, don't forget to follow us on TikTok, which is KTHelps_. Someone wrote he's a cat pretending to be a dog. He's half adorable dog, half old man, and it's lovely. Oh, someone else prefers the bow tie. Yeah, I understand.
Half old man.
Almost all small dogs I know smelled like crap from their beak. Beak? What is that? That's.
I don't know.
He doesn't smell like crap.
No.
Night of Mata. That's cute. Okay, so here we go. That's me as Princess Leia. That's him as Wookiee, and that's Nick as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, and then we have to show the Ewok one.
I think that I tried last time, but it was the wrong one. So that one might have to wait for next week.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the right one.
Okay, yeah.
Bisquick wrote Night of Mutta.
I know, it's cute. Yeah, Bodhi really is a sweet Ewok. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for watching. And we will do another show on Pakistan It was really great to talk to Dr. Moeed Pirzada. Also, we're going to talk to Junaid Ahmed, who is a very prolific writer and great thinker who writes a lot about Khan and Pakistan in general. We've had him on Useful Idiots, but never on this show. So, all right. Next week, we're going to have a great show. We're going to have Lawrence Wilkerson on
Nice.
and also 2 philosophers on who are going to be talking about Pakistan. And one of the philosophers invented, his name is Joe Levine. He invented something that I can't remember what it's called, but anyone who studies philosophy knows about it. Hold on. Joe Levine. Hold on. He invented.
There's probably a joke sitting in there somewhere about
The
having
explanatory gap. The explanatory gap. So any people who are philosophy fans, you know it, you've loved it. Explanatory gap. Someone suggested DAG with Jasper Nathaniel. What's DAG? I'm going to have Jasper on this show.
I was going to say there's
Yeah.
probably a joke in there somewhere, Katie, about having 2 philosophers on the show.
I know. Well, he is actually married to a philosopher. And I asked them when I met him if they ever debated stuff. And I think they do have a big disagreement over like literally reality. So that could be fun.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
We should do a special Patreon only series that's about like couples. Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do that. That would be good.
That's something, speaking of your question earlier, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do, we'll do like a couple a year. We could do Liza Featherstone and Doug Henwood. We could do Richard Wolff and Harriet Fradd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We could do these 2 philosophers. We could do my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
And Bucky, whenever he gets a girlfriend.
Yeah. Bucky and Bodie.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are these other Laura Sheehy and Stephen Sheehy. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will maybe Imran Khan one day and his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Jemima. Oh, and there's that the anthropologist, Jemima. What is her name? She covers Haiti. We've had her on the show.
Right,
Jemima
right.
Pierre.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's
Then
great.
yes, and her husband is. So we'll have to have them on. Who's her husband? He did really interesting stuff, and now I can't find it. Okay, we're gonna have to find out.
I mean, and if we're talking about ex-spouses like Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins.
I know, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Okay. No, that's not them. What is her husband's name? There's another Jemima Pierre and Junior Jean, but that's not them.
Oh.
We've had them on our show. We'll find out later.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry to her husband. He's very impressive. Very impressive scholar.
I'm sure if
he
he's
wrote all
married to
about
her,
Haiti and debt.
yeah, if he's married to her, he is an impressive person, I imagine.
Hold on. Actually, if I put in her name and the Katie Halper show,
I don't think that's going to tell you who she's married to.
No, but Peter James Hudson, because I had them on together once. So we'll have to do it with Jemima Pierre and Peter James Hudson.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I'm good.
I stand corrected.
Yep, he's a historian. All right. So I will see everyone. Thank you guys again so much. Next week is going to be another great show, and this was a great show. And don't forget to go to patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. And we'll see you next week. And thank you, Brad. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Nate. And thank you to all the guests. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, calm down. You got nervous, man.